Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Investing Explained. Here's today's question. So now I want to talk about analyzing deals, because as if acquiring the building itself and everything that we've talked about isn't intimidating enough, I think the analysis of the deal adds additional complexity and doubt in new investors' minds. And I know you wrote in your book that investors can confidently analyze deals and make offers in as little as 10 minutes. So walk us through that process.
I think the main problem is when you put it all together in totality, what we're talking about here, people are keeping notes and the page is getting, it's getting longer and longer. It's kind of an overwhelming thing. And I don't like that because most people then look at it and go, crap, there's 134 steps. It's for the birds. I'm not even getting started. Which is, we want to really keep it simple. And I always talk about, you just do the next three things, whatever the next three things are. So when you get into analysis and numbers, that's got point 21 down the list of things to do next. And so, but happy to do it. And just keep in mind that it's not something that the average person getting started should do next. It's something that will come and they will master that because it's actually not nearly as difficult as it sounds. Yes, it involves a spreadsheet and numbers, but it's not that difficult. I do remember when I got started with this in 2000, when I was marketing for deals in 2007, it did take me 4 hours to, quote, make a 10-minute offer because, first of all, I didn't have the techniques we have today. I didn't have the tools we have today. And it was really, I spent all this time, make the offer, and then and the broker died laughing at the end of the line because I completely missed a mark. And therefore, I just wasted 4 hours of my day. Well, don't do that. Is there another approach? Yes, it's a 10-minute offer. And it's actually really simple. You don't even need a major spreadsheet for it. But it's really using the numbers that the broker is used to using, which is price, income, and value. And so I really don't want to get into math, but the point is you're using these parameters that the main principle is that the higher the income, the higher the value, right, in general. So when these brokers send you a marketing package, there's an income, an NOI, net operating income, expenses, income minus expenses equals net operating income, and the valuation of that building is based on that number by this thing called a cap rate. That's a multiplier, let's say. And so therefore, if the income were to go up, the value would go up. If the income were to go down, the value would go down. Well, in most cases, the NOI, the income, is overstated, right? The expenses are lower and the income is magically higher. Therefore, the net operating income is higher, therefore, to justify their asking price. Well, if you apply some simple rules of thumb to the income and the expenses, so on the income side, use a 10% vacancy factor, meaning that if everybody paid their rent on time every single time and there was never a vacancy, there would be this amount, then just take 10% off that. Okay, great. On the expense side, use 55% of whatever that number is, that income number, and those are your expenses. And essentially, you can ignore everything else that's in the marketing package. And from that, you can have an adjusted net operating income, and therefore you apply this cap rate multiplier and you get a new value, which is almost always lower than asking price. Okay. And so when you get this, you call up the broker and you say, I looked, it's a great deal, great package. I really like it a lot. So much pretty pictures in it. But you know what? Your income is a little overstated because you're only showing like 3% vacancy. And I in my experience, it's more like by the time you're said and done, more like 10%. Okay. But in your expenses, you're showing about 36% of income is expenses. I really haven't cracked it open. I'm sure there's some expenses missing somewhere, but in my experience, it's usually between 50 and 55%. Let's be generous and call it 50%. And they'll be going, well, and if I adjust your income, it's now blah. And based on your cap rate that you just told me in your marketing package, the valuation is now 1.4 and you're asking 1.7. Is there any flexibility on behalf of the seller or not? And now if they say, no, not at all. You suck. You're way off target. Go away. You only spent literally 10 minutes making your first offer. But if they say, well, it's not what we're looking for, but why don't you put something in writing? You are now somewhere in the ballpark of what the seller is actually looking for. And now when you're invited to put something in writing, normally means that you're putting a letter of intent in place. Now you can crack open the syndicated deal analyzer spreadsheet and go deep on these numbers and come up with a number. And now you can spend your 4 hours, but not before. Because most cases, they're looking for a price and you come in 20%, whatever lower, they're not really interested. So that's really how it works.
Yeah, you don't want to waste your time on the deals where you're not even close. At least get in the same ballpark and then you can dive into them and see if your numbers make sense. That's all for this episode of Real Estate Investing Explained. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to get even more free content.